Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to a Friday morning, last day of May. Another month is about to be in the books, almost halfway done with 2024. I mean, the days are slow, but the weeks and months fly by, it seems like, around here. We got a lot of announcements for you today. We'll just kind of knock a few out this morning. Trump conviction, okay. Question mark as far as what's that going to do to the markets, all that. How's it going to play out politically for the country? So, more to follow on that later, but obviously, if you want to consume a lot of thought there, you can turn on any CNBC, any news channel, and get your fill there. Also, for our business here at Ankerstar Wealth, we are now selling shares. I'm not sending the brief out to everybody, but there is a slide deck, standard investor slide deck and terms included in that. If you're interested in something like that, reach out to anybody on the Ankerstar Wealth team, and we'll give you the link to the actual briefing area, and you can learn more. We'd love to have you on board. Raising money for the building that's coming up, and some of the other unknowns going into there is basically as a safety net is the purpose of the funds. Next announcement. So Jaden and Zach and I went to the Consensus Conference yesterday, and you're like, what is that? Well, 15,000 people. And I won't say crazy people. Okay, I just did say crazy people. These are, I mean, they were wearing Dogecoin onesies. And I mean, there was a lot of craziness going on. And, Austin kind of brings it strong in that department already. But yeah, we went into, this conference and we covered a lot of Bitcoin stuff. But so I will talk about the first official topic, which will be Bitcoin. Where's it at? Where's it going? This conference as well as next week. Then I'm going to hand it over to Mike, who's going to talk about, anybody log in and check their portfolio yesterday? Yeah, a little bit of bloodbath in tech. Lot of folks to blame out there, but the one that Mike's going to talk about is the biggest player probably out there, and that's Salesforce.com. CRM's the ticker. They were off significantly yesterday, and they basically brought down the whole enterprise software field with it. So Mike's going to peel that back for us. And then, as a teaser, Mike says his final topic is the Golden Goose IPO, and he's got some fun interaction, so make sure you stick around to the end for that. Before we get started, this is a financial education presentation. You have to do your own due diligence before you act upon anything you hear in this presentation. More disclaimer information is available at ankerstarwealth.com. The opinions expressed are mine and Mike's alone. So there's your Bitcoin. Already shared it out to you. Up kind of decent yesterday, and fractionally higher this morning. Did get that good inflation number. Well, I will say not bad, right? It was the expected number. So kind of nothing headline for Friday. People were sweating it. But back to Bitcoin. Where's this chart? Are we at new highs? No. Are we in the vicinity of new highs? I say yes, right? One thing I did learn at this conference is if people are talking about why did Bitcoin just rip higher, and then now we're stuck in this period of consolidation. And when the person explained it to me, I felt like an idiot, like, oh gosh, I should already known that. But he's like, it's the institutional money. So I just kind of went, mm-hmm. And he's like, because, and he continued on, right? So unlike, the team here at Ankerstar Wealth or the other independents out there, we have a lot of flexibility in the percentage of Bitcoin we expose you guys to. And again, it's all off your risk score. That's where it starts, into a model through knowing you personally on whether or not it's right for you and understanding the volatility of it. But we do have the flexibility to put it over 10% in our models, which we do in our highest end models. And obviously, when it appreciates, it can be obviously more than 10% in your portfolio then. And we're kind of a mindset, I'm probably driving that maybe a little heavy-handed, of we're not selling right now because it's got another move up in it, in my opinion, right? So we're kind of holding fast, and we're not rebalancing. So take that to the institutional world, and he's like, they don't have that flexibility. We're talking committees amongst committees, to committee meetings, to briefings, to layered stuff, and they might make a decision like once a quarter on making a move. Well, there's folks that are institutional folks that have allocated to it. That 1 to 3% is kind of the, Fidelity said it, so now it's law. Okay, that's fine. 1 to 3% works. We do a little higher there for your more aggressive folks. But like Wisconsin, $150 million into Bitcoin. So they make the buy, right? So they approve it, and boom, there goes 150 million into Bitcoin. Then it starts moving up. And he goes, and it can move up for 4 or 5 months. That's kind of our most of your exposure since January 11th, which he called the season finale of episode or season 1 of Bitcoin, which I thought was a cool analogy. But he also said, he goes, every transaction after they do their initial buy is a selling transaction. And I'm like, keep going, man. I don't have it yet. And he goes, from rebalancing. So if they get authorized to put 1% and Bitcoin moves up, guess what they have to do? Sell Bitcoin. He goes, so all of these institutions out here are net sellers of Bitcoin because they got, I laugh at the mandate because they're not allowing you to make money, right? That's what Big Brother does. But they can't have it appreciate too much in the portfolio without getting out of balance by their mandate. So therefore they are net sellers. So if you look at the transaction log of an institution, it's like bought a whole bunch here and then all these micro sales for the next 2, 5, 10 years until they vote and agree upon and get approved to increase their exposure. So that's the headwind we're facing right now. So what does that mean? That it can't go up? No, it can go up, but new money has to come into the space either from retail or new institutions. And I do believe that's happening. But this period of consolidation, which may be annoying you since we're 2.5 months into it, that's kind of why it happens. So I do think it does, next time we rip higher, it's going to consolidate for a month or two. So just kind of interesting, made perfect sense when he explained it to me. All right, here's where we were yesterday. Think, Comic Con for crypto. I mean, there's legit people here that hold, decent positions, and there's also plenty of social media, crypto girl and some other stuff that may not necessarily carry the same resume weight. But I mean, legit folks that are really smart out here rocking this. This is the UT professors, right? So their blockchain research symposium. And then you get into Pitch Fest finals. Whoops, didn't mean to click that. Yeah, and then they're doing a little mini Shark Tank for coins, which Mike would have loved that. So I mean, it's just crazy. She's the CEO of the Defiant, which I don't know what that is, but crazy names out there. So you go into the Expo Center, it's all open rooms, open stages. There's crypto people everywhere, flashing lights, loud music. You can kind of get the act. But what was interesting that I found there, even though this is one that's for the masses, there's 15,000 people there. I did learn some things. One question I do get asked with Bitcoin is, it's 20 years old, right? So is it capable of continuing to morph? And you hear like Bitcoin Cash, that was one thing that happened from it. Now there's a level 2, which allows you to transact in Satoshis, if you will, and then settle it back on the chain later, like at the end of the hour or the day or whatever, which is a lot. So there's a lot of smart people looking at this, I have no doubt, and that are making sure it's usable going forward, so it actually can become the world's currency. So very, very interesting. I also learned some things that are interesting, but not necessarily, critical to the crypto world. But Kabosu died. Yeah, the dog. That was the picture from Dogecoin. If you remember that little, I call it a debacle, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's the savior or whatever. I don't believe that. But yeah, the dog's owner, here's the name right there, a kindergarten teacher from the city of Sakura, if I say that correctly, in Japan, passed away in her sleep. So the original Doge internet meme dog is dead. So that's interesting. So I won't go into the other interesting stuff we have there, but I will say that on a more, if you will, serious note or a more focused note, Mike and I and Jaden and one of our accredited investors is going with us to the Vision Conference here in Austin, which is where I went to last year, which is pretty much the same crew, except we're adding Mike in this year, and learned so much about what I would call the super professional and regulatory side of things. So no flashing lights, no crazy expo halls, literally just not a conference room, but a room in a hotel where there's a couple hundred of us. But note the lineup. Michael Saylor is coming out for this. So this is really, a legit, if you will, authorities of the folks that are out there. And they have, chairman of the CFTC, that's commodities. speaking. They'll have an SEC person on staff. So, we get to hear Michael Saylor on Tuesday morning. So you're not going to get a show Monday or Tuesday because we'll be at this conference. But coming up next Wednesday, we'll kind of debrief where we went with all of that. Rick Edelman is kind of the boss of this thing. I was able to sit and have dinner with him last year and talk for a couple hours and answer all my dumb questions, right, to see if it's safe to invest. The conference last year was from June 4th to 6th. I thought about it for 2 weeks. I read his book, Rick's book, and pulled the trigger on June 20th was my first personal Bitcoin buy. And then we kind of morphed into it there. And then throughout the year kind of picked up. So that's our story for Bitcoin. You'll know more next week. So I will stop talking about the craziness of crypto, except for I did wear my stacking sats. Had to rep today, right? What Bitcoin's up. I think it's going to move up higher today. So I'm stacking sats and staying humble with my hoodie today. And with that, Mike, over to you.
Steve, I just like a moment of silence for the Dogecoin dog. Yeah. Okay. Maybe we'll have more on that. Any of you that looked at your portfolio yesterday probably saw that it was down. And if you have invested in the Dow, which that's not one of our model portfolios, the Dow was really down yesterday. But and I said before, there's only 30 stocks in there. One of them is Salesforce, and it drug that whole thing down, even though the rest of the Dow was relatively okay. So, but I want to look at the NASDAQ. So, last Friday we were, 19,000 hitting highs, everything was exciting. Here's our 5-day graph down about, I think I calculated 1.7%, like, wow, it felt like a rough week. It's amazing. But when we back it up, not really much. So anyways, I just thought I'd show that there's the overall trend. However, in overall this morning, we can see things are up in the green, but, talk a little bit about Salesforce. But first I wanted to ask Steve, what is this picture? What do you think you see a picture of here?
It looks like Jensen sitting in Denny's.
Yeah. And what's he eating?
I'd say moon's over my hammy, but it looks more like an omelet.
He's actually eating Mark Bienhoff's breakfast and his lunch and his dinner.
I see what you did there.
Yes, okay. Yes. So what we are seeing is IT departments have so much money they can spend. They have a set budget. I've been in these IT departments. They do not have unlimited spend. And what we saw yesterday with Salesforce earnings is IT departments put their money into AI and NVIDIA. And guess what got squeezed? Salesforce, ServiceNow, cybersecurity, backup systems. Anything that is enterprise software that was already in place, that was growing, got squeezed on price. And so something you don't necessarily think about. Like we all, AI, great, that's a wave of the future. I want to be there. It's going to save the company money. But in the short term, it costs money, and that money had to come from somewhere. So what Salesforce came out with, and what we've been seeing with the tech companies, they may hit on revenue, they may hit on earnings, but if they guide lower, they go down hard, and vice versa. And Salesforce wasn't even that good. They missed. They missed on revenue. They guided significantly lower, and they were crushed. So they went down 20%. Even though they made more money than they made last year, but they did not meet what the expectations were. And when we look at their earnings per share, they actually earned just a little bit more, but they missed revenue, 9.13 billion versus 9.17. And then the biggest thing is that they guided lower. So when you look at that chart, let me see if I can bring this up. This is a year-to-date chart of Salesforce. So initially tracking right up through that high at the end of the first quarter, and then now we can see a drop of almost a third of their market value. So, and we're talking a huge company to lose a third of their market value. That is why they took that massive drop. So fortunately, not a direct position that we have in the models, but it took down a lot of ours with it. So, when I was looking at yesterday's different portfolio models, you take a CrowdStrike went down, Sentinel-1 went down, but then also went down because of a lower guidance. and several other of our stocks. So, will it recover? Does this change the thesis on enterprise software? Absolutely not. I mean, there's going to be a working out of IT budgets as AI saves money. That money is reinvested, and these. Do I think CRM is going to recover? Absolutely. Now, how quick will it recover? I'm not sure. But this company, is a great company, great leadership, and will recover. But for now, Jensen versus Mark. Jensen, we'll say, wins round one. Ultimately, these companies really are not competitors, but they're competitors for IT dollars. So brings me to our last topic, kind of a fun topic going into the weekend. And I want to ask Steve, quick question, how much of a fashion sense do you think you have?
I would say maybe just a touch over average of your 50-year-old male.
Okay. So, and what's your financial sense?
I would like to think my financial sense is on point.
Okay, perfect. So I have a question for you. If I buy myself some New Balance tennis shoes, which I'm wearing right now, and they cost $50, if I turn around and sell them brand new, what are they worth? What do you think I could sell them for?
Well, I would say if you can get them online for 50, you wouldn't be able to get more than that. So I don't know, 45.
45. That sounds like a reasonable answer. And then if I wore them for 3 months, what do you think I could sell them for?
Well, you wearing them as a celebrity probably jacks the value up. But if I just take it to a generic American, I would say maybe around $20, maybe down into the teens.
Yeah. And then, of course, if I wear them to mow the lawn for a couple of years and they really get worn, they're worthless.
They're yours at that point. Yeah.
They're yours. So this is where creativity comes in. And I guess I'm just not this creative. But Golden Goose is selling luxury lived-in sneakers.
All right.
Now, in the headline is kind of catchy because it says worn by Taylor Swift. No, they're not selling sneakers worn by. She didn't actually wear these sneakers.
That's a heck of a headline, yeah.
It is. It's very, very. You got to really understand your punctuation, I think. So here is the thing: if you order these brand new shoes, they come pre-scuffed.
Yes.
And they cost more. Now, I just thought this is, and I was sharing this with a friend this morning at breakfast. This is the most creative IPO, and I'll be really interested to see how this goes. And no, we are not recommending to invest in it, but you buy these shoes that are $500, but the key is they're being worn. So you see Taylor Swift wearing them, you see Steve Ankerstar wearing them, you see whatever, and you're like, I gotta get those. And then you're paying, like, their website currently lists $615 white leather sneakers, and you can kind of see. Let me see if I think there's a picture. Maybe it was on the headline, but anyways. And now the company is going to IPO. So, we've talked about IPOs, and maybe this is a little bit of a lesson on IPOs because, you cannot buy into this company now unless you're in venture capital or, you're connected to these people. But at some point they will IPO. It's from Italy. It's going to have a public offering next month. And I just thought, wow, why didn't I think of that? Pre-scuffed shoes, and if you can get a what was that you said, the crypto girl, if you can get a social media influencer, and it sounds crazy to me, but if you can get a social media influencer to wear this, you can sell pre-scuffed shoes for hundreds of dollars more than they're actually cost to make. So anyways, I don't know, maybe that changes your it says they also Gwyneth Paltrow, Jude Law, and Virgil I don't know who that is. So anyways, what do you think, Steve?
They called me for inclusion in this article, and I said it's a conflict of interest because we're going to cover it on the morning show. So that's why you don't see my name there. But remember those old jeans that are all torn up and stuff that were $200-300 back in the day?
Yeah, and I think they had bullet hole jeans, jeans that were shot, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
It's a creative world. I just
uh,
bought my stuff new and I was happy it was new, but now, maybe we could sell pre-dented cars next. I don't know.
there you go. Well, you got your work cut out for you this weekend now. So by Monday or by Wednesday, you should have your next $1 million idea, right?
Yes.
Well, that's good stuff, Mike. And I will say, being having pretty elite high school career athletic accomplishments, I bring this up that when I thought it was actually sneakers worn by celebrities, which it obviously is not. But one thing that University of Texas did for their volleyball athletes, which I thought was pretty cool, and I think this will catch on, is they had what's called a trunk sale after their seniors, and they're obviously not coming back. They like Molly Phillips is one of the players for UT, and she did a trunk sale where they basically, you keep so many jerseys that are precious to you, but you have hundreds, right, over the course of a career like that, and shoes that you get free. I mean, Lexi's, just now going to become a senior in high school. She gets free shoes. It's like crazy all the stuff they have. It's like keep some, the rest of it. Basically, there's a company that comes in and lists it all online for an auction, and
Wow.
hypes the heck out of it. 24 hours, boom, everything sells, everything moves, and it's gone, and people are happy to have it, right? So I thought that was a pretty
Well,
cool idea.
Well, if you think about it, it's always supply and demand. I had a chance. I was in downtown San Diego. I was just getting steps, and I walked into a shoe store that sold used Nikes and collector shoes. And of course, I'm looking around, and these things are like $1,000. But it's supply and demand. And I'll tell you, I did not buy any. But I asked them. I said, "What's your most expensive shoes here?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, we have these ones behind the case. They're $80,000." And I can't remember if this was it, but there was one. They were like, "It's the Freddy Krueger brand of Nikes that was released." I missed buying those. Those
Yeah,
are like $30,000. And of course, I was like, "Do you guys take Dogecoin? I could pay you in that since we're talking about fake money, anyways, right?" You know, you know. But I mean, it's just amazing supply and demand. If there's only whatever 10 pairs of Freddy Krueger Nikes, then they're worth that much. So.
yeah. That is crazy. So next great idea, Mike. That's your challenge for this weekend. So, all right. Thanks everybody for listening. Hope you had fun on a Friday. The market is now open. Go green. Let's go. Let's try to finish this week strong. And with that, we will see you guys back on Wednesday. You guys have a good one. Bye.